What employees wish their managers understood? If you've ever left a meeting thinking, why does management not understand what's actually happening here? You're not alone. Most employees have moments like that. Not because their managers are bad people, but because there's often a gap between how work looks from the top and how it feels from the inside. And there are a few things employees quietly wish their managers understood. Most workplaces talk a lot about leadership, management training, performance reviews, productivity strategies. But there's a quieter conversation that rarely happens openly, the one employees have with each other. Conversations about stress, about unclear expectations, about decisions that don't make sense. And if you listen closely to those conversations, you start to hear a pattern. There are a few things employees wish their managers understood, but often never say out loud. Today, I want to talk about some of those things. Not to criticize managers, but to explain the gap that often forms between leadership and the people doing the work. One of the biggest misunderstandings in many workplaces is the assumption that employees need constant pressure to perform. The truth is that most employees actually want to do their work well. They want to be reliable. They want to be respected. And they want their effort to matter. But when people feel like their work is constantly questioned or monitored without context, something changes. Instead of focusing on doing great work, they begin focusing on avoiding mistakes. And those are two very different mindsets. Great work usually happens when people feel trusted enough to think clearly. Most employees don't mind working hard. What they struggle with is working hard without clarity. When expectations are unclear, people spend a lot of energy guessing what matters most, guessing how decisions will be evaluated, guessing whether they're doing the right thing. And that kind of uncertainty creates a different kind of fatigue. Not physical fatigue, mental fatigue. Because the person is constantly trying to read the environment instead of simply focusing on the task. Clear expectations remove a surprising amount of stress from a workplace. Recognition doesn't always require big gestures. Most employees aren't looking for constant praise, but they do want to know when their work is seen. When someone spends hours solving a problem, fixing an issue, or helping a team move forward, silence can feel confusing. Not hostile, just confusing. A simple acknowledgement often carries more weight than managers realize, because it confirms something important. That effort is not invisible. Another thing employees often wish their managers understood is that communication matters even more than perfect decisions. In complex workplaces, not every decision will be ideal. Conditions change. Information is incomplete. Priorities shift. Employees usually understand that. What creates frustration is when decisions appear suddenly, without explanation. People don't necessarily expect perfection, but they do want context, why the change happened, what the goal is, how the decision affects the team. Even a short explanation can transform confusion into cooperation. One of the most underrated qualities in a manager is stability, not dramatic leadership, not constant motivational speeches, just stability, a sense that expectations will remain consistent, that decisions will follow a pattern, that people will be treated fairly over time. When employees feel that kind of stability, the workplace becomes easier to navigate. People spend less time worrying about the environment and more time focusing on the work itself. In many organizations, workplace culture isn't created by mission statements or training programs. It's shaped by small, daily interactions. How managers respond to questions, how mistakes are handled, how effort is acknowledged, how clearly expectations are communicated. Those small signals accumulate over time, and eventually, they form the atmosphere employees experience every day. Managing people is not easy. Managers are often balancing pressure from above while trying to support the teams below them. But sometimes the most meaningful improvements in a workplace come from small shifts in understanding, recognizing effort, communicating clearly, providing stable expectations, and remembering that most employees are not trying to avoid work. They're trying to do their work well. When that understanding is present, the relationship between managers and employees becomes much stronger, and the workplace becomes a little easier for everyone inside it. If this conversation about work dynamics resonated with you, watch this next. Why you're competent and still ignored. It explains a dynamic many employees experience but rarely talk about. I'll see you there.